Welcome viewers, this is your anchor Kekrizanya Solo. You're now watching Hornbill TV. Should government functions celebrate public service or public personalities? Well, the debate has taken center stage in Meghalaya, where the state government has taken a bold step to curb VIP culture by banning the felicitation of the chief minister, ministers and other state dignitaries at official government programs. Interestingly, this is not an entirely new idea for the Northeast, because back in 2018, Nagaland too announced a series of anti-VIP measures aimed at reducing official pomp and protocol. But 8 years later, while the policy remains on paper, the culture of chief guests, shawls, bouquets and lengthy felicitation ceremonies continue to be a familiar sight across the state. Well, we'll talk about this further. But for now, Meghalaya has drawn a clear line between governance and glorification. As per the latest updates, in a fresh directive, the state government has instructed all departments not to organize felicitation ceremonies for the chief minister, deputy chief ministers, minister or other state dignitaries during the official government programs. Instead, departments have been encouraged to honor ordinary citizens and grassroots contributors. Shift the spotlight from those in office to those they serve. The move is being seen as another step in Meghalaya's broader effort to reduce VIP culture and make official events more citizen-centric. For Nagaland, however, the conversation isn't entirely new. As mentioned before, in 2018, the People's Democratic Alliance government, led by Chief Minister Nipurio, announced that series of reforms to curb VIP culture. The cabinet resolved that ministers should refrain from accepting ceremonial gifts. Government officials should avoid attending functions as chief guests. Designation plates on vehicles should be removed and public office should be marked by simplicity rather than privilege. At the time, reports covering the cabinet decision described Nagaland as a chief guest doting, stating a reflection of how deeply embedded the culture had become. Well, 8 years later, the practice remains widely visible. From schools' annual and college programs to village celebrations, sports, tournaments, cultural festivals, government inauguration and public commemoration, the words chief guest continue to feature prominently on invitations, banners and official schedules. It is not uncommon for programs to begin with elaborate welcome ceremonies, traditional shawl draped over dignitaries, bouquets, mementos, citations, photo sessions and a long list of speeches before the main event begins. Beyond the ceremonial aspect, the practice has also drawn criticism from sections of civil society and the public. At many community, educational and charitable events, invitations to serve as the chief guest are sometimes perceived to be, say, influenced less by a person's relevance to the occasion and more by their public office, their social standing or their expected ability to extend financial assistance or announce donation. While such expectations are not unique to Nagaland and cannot be generalized, every event, critics argue that they can shift the focus away from the purpose of the program and towards protocol, patronage and fundraising. As a result, individuals with direct expertise or meaningful contributions to the subject of the event may at times take a backseat to more prominent invitees. Supporters, however, maintain that inviting elected representatives and public figures often help mobilize resources, attract wider participation and strengthen community support. Many of these events are also rooted in Naga traditions of hospitality and respect for guests, an important distinction that should not be overlooked. Welcoming dignitaries with shawls or customary honors remains an integral part of the state's cultural ethos. However, when official programs become increasingly centered around protocol and personalities rather than the purpose of the event itself, critics say the line between cultural courtesy and VIP culture can begin to blur. For many citizens, VIP culture is measured not just by bouquets on stage, but by what happens on the road. When traffic slows, vehicles pull aside and daily routines pause for a passing convoy. While security arrangements are necessary for protected dignitaries, there is no debate in that, but the debate begins when convenience for a few is perceived to come at the cost of many. To be fair, there is no official assessment suggesting that Nagaland's 2018 policy has been abandoned or formally withdrawn, nor is every event featuring a chief guest necessarily in violation of those cabinet decisions. But the continued prominence of ceremonial protocol at many public events has prompted questions about whether the spirit of those reforms has translated into everyday practice. Meghalaya's latest directive therefore may once again revive an old conversation in Nagaland. Should official government programs be about celebrating public representatives or recognizing the public they represent? Perhaps Meghalaya has offered a simple reminder that the most important guest at a government program may not always be the one seated on the stage. After all, in many programs, the chief attraction can sometimes become the chief guest himself, while the actual purpose of the event patiently waits its turn. And perhaps the true measure of a successful public function is not how many dignitaries grace the dais, but how well the event serves the people it was organized for or it was meant for. Because sometimes the chief attraction should not be the chief guest, it should be the cause itself. Well, that's a wrap for now. For more news updates, keep watching Hornbill TV.